Welcome, everyone, to the SEC SmackCast. SECSmack.com is the website. Be sure you check that out. We are talking all things Southeastern Conference all the time, guys. And today, as you could probably tell by the intro music, we're going to be talking about the University of Missouri. Because there has been a lot of negativity lately surrounding the University of Missouri. Of course, the way the football season went, the way the basketball season's going, some of the ridiculous occurrences. I don't think Stanley Kubrick could have come up with a script that could have mirrored some of these ridiculous happenings that have gone on, during Missouri's maiden voyage into the SEC. And I want to get into some of that because, the perception outside of Missouri is Missouri maybe never belonged in this conference. And now that they've seen a football season and a basketball season, they really do not have a high opinion of the University of Missouri. And I don't think that matters a whole lot to the higher-ups at Mizzou, and it shouldn't, because this is a 100-year decision. This is not a one-year, microcosm, and this is not necessarily how it's going to be for the next 50 to 75, 100 years. But I think it is worth mentioning some of the negative happenings that have gone on, and I want to go back to November of 2011 when the announcement was made. Missouri and Texas A&M are going to be joining this conference, and I think Missouri fans spoke, with their hearts and with their wallets, because these fans, I believe that the fan base was, collectively on board with this. They wrote checks, they upped their donations. You say, hey, we need more money, we need to upgrade the stadium, let's do that. Fans spoke, fans did it, fans united, fans were excited, because it gives you the opportunity to compete in the best athletic conference on planet Earth. And I give the Missouri Board of Curators and Mike Alden credit for that. They got Missouri into this conference when, conference realignment was probably, at its peak of ridiculousness. We didn't know which teams were going to wind up where. We didn't know if the Big 12 was going to, crumble as it looked like it was going to do. But take that moment in November 2011 where it was a joyous occasion for Missouri fans. And then I want to fast forward to September of 2012. Missouri's first home game against the Georgia Bulldogs, the first SEC game, and I think the perception might have started to change right there, because I was at that game. I remember leaving the stadium that day, seeing a lot of heads held, a lot of people wondering, it just didn't feel right. It felt like Missouri had a chance to win that game. They didn't. Georgia was obviously the better team. I mean, Georgia was 4 yards away from playing for a national title. But Missouri hung in that game, and then when the air went out of the stadium and people started leaving, and I think that there was some concern. I talked to a lot of fans after that game. A lot of people concerned, wow, is this what it's going to be like? Teams just coming in here and beating us up, and is that going to be our viewing experience as fans? The season played out the way it played out. Missouri went 5-7. I'll tell you what, Missouri needed to get to a bowl game really to reiterate the fact that they did belong in this conference and they could compete. They did not do that. Missouri's two conference wins, Kentucky and Tennessee, two of the worst teams in the conference. Of course, I was on hand in Knoxville when Missouri went down there and knocked off Tennessee, which was a big win for Missouri. Probably should not have won it, but did. But when your two wins are Kentucky and Tennessee, and you weren't really competitive against the likes of Alabama, really weren't competitive against South Carolina, some of the other teams, Vanderbilt lost to them at home. It got, as the season rolled on, I think fans started asking questions. Was this the right move? Did we do the right thing? Missouri, of course, had terrible productivity at the quarterback position, which is going to kill you no matter what conference you're in or no matter where you're playing. If Missouri was in the Big 12, I don't think the record would have been much better than 5-7, to be honest. But it was the way it went down with this football team, with the injuries on the offensive line, with the problems with Gary Pinkel and James Franklin with regards to Franklin, not wanting to take medication to be able to play a game. With Gary Pinkel's personal trouble that sort of many people led to believe that that had a hand in this season, to the staff not making adjustments, all these things led Missouri fans, I think, down a path, of negativity as the football season went on. Missouri, of course, like I said, ended at 5-7. And at that point, you need to look at yourself in the mirror at the end of a season like that and find out what you need to do to compete. Kentucky fired their coach. Tennessee fired their coach. A lot of teams went in other directions. Missouri, of course, stood pat, and I don't think Gary Pinkel should have been fired after that first season. I really do not. I think that there are some red flags. But Gary Pinkel deserves a shot. He turned this program around. I personally sat in that stadium in the early 90s when Missouri was losing to Bowling Green. I witnessed it happen. It was a disastrous time. We can all agree that our expectations are higher now. things are, should be better. There was a great run in the Big 12 where Missouri went to 7 or 8 straight bowl games in a row. Of course, that was snapped this year. Missouri did not getting to that bowl game showed a lot of people that maybe Missouri is just in over its head in this conference. And when that happens, you need to hit a home run with your recruiting class. And the problem is National Signing Day occurred earlier this week. Missouri they were the last in the SEC in recruiting. And I think Missouri brought in a lot of really good kids, a lot of really good talented kids that can play in the SEC. Eric Beisel, the linebacker, Chase Abington, a running back / safety. A lot of good players. Clay Rhodes, the offensive lineman from the Kansas side. Missouri brought in a lot of good players, but you know what? I don't think the depth is there. I don't think the playmakers are there to really get Missouri where they need to be. And if you fast forward to 1 year ago on signing day, Missouri was pulling in the nation's #1 recruit and seemed to have a lot of momentum going into their first season in the SEC. Of course, it wasn't to be, and Missouri did not have a successful season. That's not to say that it can't happen going forward, even with this recruiting class, because as we know, those take time to assess. But when you look at it, when it's Alabama and it's LSU and it's Florida, and they're at the top of the recruiting rankings, it does not take a genius to see those are the teams winning at a high level. Missouri's going to have to get up there if they're going to want to win at a high level. There's no doubt about that. And we'll see if they can pull that off or not. It was a disappointment. A lot of Missouri fans, National Signing Day, when a lot of the publications are trying to make a joke out of their recruiting class, and I think that's a slight on the kids that are coming in. These are all good football players. But when the media is making jokes about your recruiting class and you can't compete and that kind of stuff, I can see where it weighs heavily on Missouri fans' hearts. Here at SEC Smack, we rated the recruiting class. We rated Missouri last as well. But, it wasn't met with, the same amount of negativity. We tried to find some positives in the class, tried to, point to some hidden gems that Missouri might have coming out of it. And then I want to fast forward to basketball season, which we are currently residing in now, where Missouri had the biggest chance of all, I think, to make a statement, to say, hey, our brand means something. We bring something to the table here in the SEC, and that's going to be we are the best basketball program in the SEC, aside from Kentucky, maybe aside from Florida, but we are going to compete with those schools. Guys, that has not happened either, and I think that is maybe a bigger disappointment even than the football season, because Missouri right now sits at 5-4 in the conference. They just lost their 4th straight conference road game. They have not won a game on the road yet this year. The loss the other night to Texas A&M reiterated the fact that Missouri has some trouble with the point guard position and Phil Pressey, who has just not been able to close out games for this team, and that's a huge problem. That's a leadership problem. It's probably a coaching problem because everybody in that arena, everybody watching, knew that Phil Pressey was going to try to take the last shot in that game. Missouri battled back from a 14-point deficit to take the lead with under a minute to go in that game, but they could not close it out. And I think that it speaks to maybe Frank Haith's recruiting style. He brought in a lot of transfers this year. Some of them are working out better than others. He's put together a solid group, a team that should be better than it is. But when you're sitting there at 16-6 and you're 0-4 on the road and you've lost to LSU, you've lost, now to Texas A&M, it's hard to believe. It's hard to see right now Missouri making the tournament, which is unfathomable. When this season started, Missouri has been in the top 10 at one point this season. Missouri's been a top 10 team. I think Missouri's on the outside looking in right now. That's a huge disappointment. And yet another reason that Missouri fans are feeling negative about their team, about their school, about their brand, about all those new Nike clothes you went out and bought. And I know this for a fact. Missouri fans have long had self-image problems. We are all like that fat girl, on a dating website that takes pictures of herself with her cell phone camera from the chest up, making the kissy face so you can't see the second chin. That's what Missouri fans have long become. They have self-image problems because of stuff like what's happened. Everybody knows that the University of Missouri has been through a lot athletically and has not maybe achieved the level of success that they should have or that they need to be. And that goes back a long time. That goes back to 1960 when Missouri was about to win a national football title and were defeated by Kansas, their arch rival, who was playing with an illegal player, later had to forfeit that game, cost Missouri a national championship. We know about the 5th down against Colorado, the flea kicker against Nebraska, Tyus Edney in a basketball game against UCLA. This university needs some positive momentum right now, and this move to the SEC we thought was going to create that momentum. Unfortunately, it hasn't on the field of play Everywhere else it has. The donations are coming in. The facilities are going to improve. The football stadium's going to, but right now on the field of play, it has not met expectations. There's plenty of time for that to change, guys. There really is. There's plenty. This is not, like I said in the intro, this is not a 1-year decision. This is a 100-year decision, and there's going to be a lot of great moments for Missouri going forward. But it's, it is easy to see right now why some fans are nitpicking this team, this university in general, why fans are negative about it. And with regards to basketball, this team needs to find itself in a hurry, because there's a lot of fans, a lot of Missouri fans out there depending on this team to get to the tournament and at least make a run, do something to shine some positive light on this team. Because I'm going to be honest, when it comes to SEC baseball, which is a big sport down in the Southeastern Conference, Missouri's not going to be up to par in that sport either. Harsh reality, maybe, but it is a fact. When you're talking about South Carolina, teams like that, LSU, Florida, always great teams. Arkansas, Auburn. I mean, you go through the list. So many great programs in the SEC. Missouri's going to struggle mightily, I think, in baseball, maybe more than any other sport, which is stifling right now. But I'll tell you what, this university needs some positive momentum. I want to hear what you guys think. Always come to the page. Come hit us up on the SEC Smack board where all the fans are there talking about their team. Tiger fans would love to hear from you on this topic and see what it's going to take maybe to get things turned around. Or are things not as bad as they seem? Are Missouri fans blowing this out of proportion? Are you saying, okay, we had a subpar season in football. We had injuries. It happens. We're going to get back in it and win, 8 games next year and be fine. Are you thinking, okay, we've started 0-4 on the road in conference here in basketball. We got some home games coming up. We play at Ole Miss. It's going to be okay. Going to get to the tournament. Maybe make some noise in the SEC tournament. All very possible. But right now, it is hard to see any positive light, but that may be to come. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. Be sure to hit us up on SECSmack.com, and we will see you there.